Hey guys, Full Spectrum RC here. Today I'm going to talk about my King Motors Baja. Recently there was a post on one of the forums, as there often is, Baja, or genuine Baja versus clone. Genuine Baja versus clone. You hear it all the time. You've got people who feel very strongly on both sides of the fence. Me, I see the benefits of both. I made my personal choice to buy a King Motors Baja. I have several different reasons why. Mostly because I wanted to save $500 on my initial buy. I wanted to drive my Baja as quickly as possible and deal with the consequences later. So I dealt with the consequences. I got the 30.5cc KMSOS002, KSR002 or whatever. Doesn't really matter, because I went into it with the idea that even if I had bought the original SS kit, I would have pretty much upgraded 99% of it. As I have done with this one. As it stands right now, my King Motors Baja is not much of a King Motors Baja. I have been working on it over the past winter. I've only had it approximately a year now, and the whole thing pretty much is either upgrades or genuine HBI parts. I think just looking at it quick, the only few parts that are King Motors, these front tires, surprisingly enough, have lasted for a very, very long time. I put studs in them. The foam seems okay still. I haven't blown them out or anything. They haven't released from the beadlock. On the other hand, the rear King Motors tires, the clone of the Nightmare MX pin tires, blew out within the first week. Boom. I split it, it ripped. Wasn't really that surprised. I was new to my Baja and I kind of pushed it and was driving on cement, and fact is, the King Motors tires are significantly lower quality than, well, almost all tires. Other than that, that's still on there. Chassis plates here, which I think have actually tolerance issues. I've had issues putting in other parts. As a matter of fact, I have these here. These aluminum shock tower setup that were an absolute nightmare to get in. I thought maybe that it was because I had bent my chassis, but when I did my last overhaul, I replaced the chassis and that was not the issue. I even see a little bit of binding with these plastic ones that I have on right now. I'm trying something new out. I want them to be a shock zone. If that fails, this is getting replaced by Turtle Racing immediately. As it stands so far, the only reason I haven't is because they are quite thick, and if it's not a tolerance issue, they work very well. They work very well. They're very strong. For what they are, they work very well. I replaced this. I still have the one King Motors throttle and steering, or throttle and brake servo. I expect that to die anytime. It's done a pretty good job so far. I threw a Hobby King 40 kilo steering servo in there. It seems to be working fine. I have an aluminum steering assembly from Asia Tees. Now, one of the issues I'm having with it, it works very well. It works as a steering or servo saver, but when it's loose, the bolt that is on the spring bends after a while. Bends, and it throws off all the steering, and I actually had it bind up on me before. Other than that, I put in the power control slipper clutch from HPI just recently. I haven't actually gotten much of a chance to try it out. I don't really know how well it performs with it. Put the DDM Dominator, obviously, everybody gets it. It's a great pipe, can't go wrong with it. This is actually the second engine that I have in it. I stuck with the King Motors because as it stands, for $160 you can get a 30.5cc. And I'm no racer. There's not enough people here and there's no track for a Baja. So these King Motor engines are perfectly fine with me. I will be, well, because I've replaced most of the parts on this buggy as it stands, the spare parts that I have are nearly enough to make a second one. So what I plan on doing is I'm going to be making a second Baja. I'm maybe going to make a T, throw this engine in it, and get the new 320 from Zenoa. They look awesome. I'm going to throw it in here. I'm going to break something. RPM all the way around. I'm still waiting on my RPM bumper. It's on its way. RPM front bumper. I just put in the Turtle Racing quick diff. I think it's kind of an essential upgrade. One of those things. Plastic cases on any Baja aren't that great. They split. When I got the KCR, or KRSRC, I always forget, it came with this Thor pipe. Now, this thing has been an issue from the very beginning. The welds that they had done on it were kind of terrible, and they were interfering with the way the bolt would screw into the head on my header here. And I actually ended up splitting my head because the bolts don't go in straight. I milled it out, I fixed it a bunch of times, and it works well when it works. It works well when it works, and it doesn't fall off. There is the obvious issue of people's mufflers and whatnot, and pipes falling up or loosening up on the back of the Baja. That's a known issue for everybody. But it was particularly bad with this. And what I found was I'd go to work on it because this was falling off, and I couldn't just tighten the bolts with an Allen key or anything like that. I had to take the whole buggy apart just to tighten these, and I would break parts. I would break parts every time I'd work on it, and it would kill me. The whole buggy is made of lower grade materials. There's no getting around that. In the summer, it ran pretty good. I immediately stripped the spur gear, like, first day I had it. Actually, I didn't even get it started the first day I had it. I ended up breaking the pull start that came with the King Motors, and I had to get another one. So I chalked that up mostly to inexperience. I didn't really know what I was doing. I flooded the engine right away, and I was excited, and I just wanted to drive. And I paid for it. If you're gonna buy King Motors, you have to know that you're going to have to work on it a lot more than if you bought a genuine HPI. I was forced to replace a lot of the parts on here simply because they were too low quality and eventually broke, or were on their way to break, or were losing tolerances and moving around and vibrating, or whatever it was, and I was forced to change it. I tend to like to work on these things. That's most of the hobby for me, is to actually take my buggies and trucks and planes and helicopters apart, modify them, do all that. I enjoy that. If you just want to drive and not have to worry about it breaking unless you break it, or like standard wearing out, save up and get yourself the HPI. Otherwise, the King Motors is a great buggy. In the summer it was great. In the winter, I was really hard on parts. The plastics get very, very, very brittle. There was not a time where I would take it out. If I hit a bump too hard, boom, broken. That being said, I did get some good bashing out of it, but every single time I broke it, and not necessarily under hard bashing conditions. I'll let you guys take a closer look here. She's kind of naked right now. I don't have her body on, but as you can see, aluminum in there. This is new. Standard HPI shocks. The ones that came with it were terrible. They're actually filled with silicone oil, as I found out from the manufacturer when I called them. I want to replace this here. I'm thinking I'm going to get the steering assembly from Turtle Racing. This here is just leaky. I can't really take it out in the water. I have a Yamadude, I think Yamadude clone or something, throttle linkage setup. I just put that into hood scoop. This cage, also another issue. I think the tolerances are off. I have to fight with it to get it on. I have to push these in, screw them in, and then come back here and like fight the whole buggy to jam in these back end rods. Power control slipper clutch system. I'll just pull off the one pin so you guys get a little peek. As you can see, DDM gas cap, custom windows. I did those myself with acrylic. Just quick job. I threw them together in 15 minutes. Actually, you can get the stencil online, or whatever you want to call it, to cut these out already. It was very easy. You just go on Google, boom, they're right there. These are Hostile tires. Obvious, you can't go any better than the Hostile to rubbers. They're just good all around. As you can see, my Turtle Racing quick diff in there. DDM Dominator pipe. A lot of these purple upgrades I've got here are all from AGTs. Very cheap site to go to. Really good customer service. Really good shipping. Really quick to Canada. Normally within a week I get all my stuff. But the parts are of a lower quality. I compare them to Intigi. They're very close to that. But they work. They work. Depending on what you want to use them for, I wouldn't necessarily suggest like clutch systems or anything like that, or anything you really think is going to get a hard hit. That's actually why I replaced this. That whole part there, I actually have my Exoterra, and I was using the same brand of parts, and I got in an accident, and in a shower of sparks, the piece that was made by that company shattered into a million pieces, all over the place. So I am going to end up on my hood, so that's a mandatory change. And I wanted to mess with the shocks setup, because there's not really that many options when you first get this buggy, no matter what. As you can see, I've got the body protector here, or skid protector. Good investment, keeps a lot of the inside clean if you're thinking about doing that. And that is my King Motors kind of buggy.